Welcome to Mark Alyn's Culinary Adventures. We've got a real special show today. Um, our guest chef is somebody that I have known for at least 12, 13, maybe 14 years. He's a publicist, but it goes to show you that everybody knows or should know how to cook. That's what we're all about, showing you how to get up off your butts, off the couch, into the kitchen, get rid of those stacks of empty pizza boxes and learn how to cook. We're going to go to Cuba today, and we're actually going to be making a Cuban dish uh, with a modern twist, okay? And sometime during the show, I'm going to learn how to pronounce this. It ain't a banana. We'll tell you more. Don't go away. We're on the air. We're going to go to Miami, actually, and we're going to speak with Javier Perez. Javier is the president, CEO, owner, and bottle washer of Page Turner Publicity.
It's great to be on your show, Mark. Thanks so much for having me on.
You're
And
welcome.
yes, we always talk on the phone. Very rarely do we ever do this on camera. So it's been a few years since we last saw each other.
We're going to be making a kind of a Cuban comfort food. I think your grandmother gave you the inspiration for this. Tell us about the dish.
Yes. So we're making picadillo. It's a very traditional Cuban dish. It's not a fancy meal. It's something that you just eat when you want some, as you said, comfort food. This is a dish that is very dear to my heart. My grandmother used to make it for me when I was a little kid. And whenever I've had a long day at work or just need a little reminder of my grandmother's love, that's what I make. Unfortunately, my grandmother never left written recipes for us. She was a home cook and she just knew how to make everything by heart. But whenever I make Cuban food or any dishes that she made, um, it's an approximation. It really is at this point a blend of my upbringing, which my heritage is Cuban American. So it's a mix of the best that my grandparents brought with them from Cuba and my parents, mixed in with American sensibilities. So you'll see a little bit of that, a little bit of Italian food inspiration thrown in there. So it's really a mix of things.
I love the fact that you cooked with your grandmother. That's why we're here on Mark Allen's Culinary Adventures to learn how to make dishes that resonate with people, and it helps us to learn about different cultures. Okay, for example, I've eaten these, but not a lot. And I know that Cuban and South American foods, uh, plantains, did I get that right?
You
Or
did, yes.
I did. Plantains are very popular, and we're going to be frying these up in a little bit. All right, let's start. I'm going to walk back here to the stove. We'll go over to our overhead. Tell me what I should do first, sir.
All right, so the first thing that you should do is heat up your pan. I recommend that you put the heat on medium high just to get it going. And then once it warms up, uh, drizzle some olive oil onto there because we're going to be sauteing some vegetables.
All right, how much? You tell me. Is that enough?
That's good. Usually about a tablespoon or two is sufficient. Once
I,
that gets heated up nicely, we'll be ready to cook the veggies.
all right. Well, and the veggies we have a sweet onion, and you're probably aware of this, Javier? Yellow onions are round, right? But sweet onions are a flat. They're flat. Okay,
Mm.
almost all of them are flat. Now there are some round ones that are supposed to be sweet, and you have to be careful. But and I can tell that this will be sweet, and you can see that it's oblong, I guess. right? In shape. So I've already cut that up, and we also have some red bell pepper. Your recipe actually calls for red and green.
As I mentioned, you can use any bell pepper that you like. Traditionally, or at least in my version of it, it's always a mix of red and green. But anyone who wants to make this dish could also use orange bell peppers or the yellow bell peppers. It's just important that it be a bell pepper and not like a jalapeno pepper or something spicy. Cuban food is not spicy. It's very flavorful, but it lacks spice.
Do you know? Do you know what a green bell pepper and most men have in common?
I do not, but I am a humble home cook, so I have a feeling that you're going to have a lot of these details ready for us that I do not know. So I'm looking forward
Um,
to it. What is it?
what they're immature fruit. Okay, I think I just won some points with Carol, so that's always good. All right, I'm going to move this around a little bit, and I'm going to start with the onion or the
So I
bell.
usually just I toss them all in the onions and the bell peppers together.
All right,
Great. So I can hear that sizzle, which is what we want.
right, and I'll put this in,
Yep. And then all
and
you have to do is just stir it up a little bit. I usually like to do layers of seasoning. So at this point, I recommend that you put some salt and pepper on those veggies.
okay.
And
Now I don't cook with a lot of salt, only not for health reasons, only because I don't like it, and there's a little bit of salt, and that was Himalayan pink salt, by the way. And this is black and white pepper, and there can never be enough pepper. There.
great. That's that's good. So now we're just gonna, yep, mix that all up.
The onions, oh, smells good.
Yes, you're gonna notice it becomes fragrant really quickly. Um, and then as soon as that, as soon as you see the onions sort of soften, um, we can add the next ingredient.
All right, I'll put that in now.
Yep. And that you're gonna smell that right away.
There is nothing better than fresh garlic.
I love it.
Yeah,
Cuban food has a lot of garlic.
mm, I love garlic. It's just, and it's healthy for you. It's very good.
So I was
Yeah,
telling you earlier that the way I usually do it, although it could be done either way. I usually like to have the veggies fully cooked to where I like them, and
right.
then I remove them from the pan into onto a bowl, and then I toss in the next ingredient in the pan, which is the ground turkey. Um,
Got it.
but but you can also just cook everything together. You don't have to take it out.
All right. We have 1 pound of ground turkey. It's still in the package and it's organic. Okay, as much as possible, we do buy organic. So we're going to put this into the pot. Now you can take that out, hold it off to the side, as Javier has said. I'm just going to try to make it a little easier.
Yeah, it should be. It should. You should with the spoon. You should break it down into the smallest bits possible,
Right.
and that will ensure that it cooks evenly and more quickly. So the next step is to season the meat and veggies with some more salt, some more pepper, some garlic powder, and some cumin, which is also a very traditional ingredient in Cuban food.
Isn't it? It's interesting to me because Cuban, cumin, not Cuban, um, is found around the world,
It is.
and
So
right?
it is. I think
Yeah.
I think it's in a lot of Middle Eastern foods.
Yes, it
Uh,
is.
and you know, I love it.
Yeah, I do too.
And Cuba
Yeah.
is an interesting place in terms of food. Uh,
This is smelling really nicely. How does it look to you from?
it looks great. You definitely, you know, the meat has turned a nice, you know, non-pink color. So you're doing a good job.
Thank you. I have a jar of some olives, and we thought what I thought I would do is cut them in half. I'll put them back in. These were
Yeah.
olives that are in olive oil.
So this is a controversial ingredient for me
Oh,
because I rarely put it in my picadillo. The next step is to give the meat some color. And again, this is not my grandmother's ingredient. This is mine. But I give it some color and flavor with some Worcestershire sauce. Um,
okay. I love Worcestershire sauce.
I do. I love it as
Yeah,
well. So I put a good amount, and I think you're using the exact same brand that I use here at home.
it's the
And
only. It's there. There are other brands. It's an all natural product. It's Lee and
yep,
Perrins, right?
yep.
I think they have um, a vegan because one of the ingredients is anchovy.
Oh, I did. Okay,
In
I never read the ingredient
you
list.
didn't read the label,
That's
and
good.
so put that in.
Yeah, and also, and then a little bit of balsamic vinegar as well.
Okay,
Not too much of that, just a
just
little bit.
you tell me when.
That's a little bit more. There we go. Perfect.
Okay, good,
So that ends up being like about a tablespoon.
got it.
And then we're going to stir it all up again, let it all mix. And once you've done that, we're going to put in the raisins.
Ah,
Now, I wasn't specific in my recipe about which raisins, so I don't know if you chose the dark ones or the golden ones, but I see that you chose the
the
regular
dark
raisins.
ones. Yes, these
Perfect.
are California organic, non-GMO, um, sun-made raisins.
Good choice. So we're going to put those in. And I like that. I like adding the raisins because it gives it it gives a dish a sweetness to it. And then, as I was saying, some people like the olives as a counterbalance to the sweetness from the raisins. But I have a big sweet tooth, so I don't need that counterbalance.
Do and I um, we don't eat a lot of raisins. Um, I use used to put you usually put them in my oatmeal,
Mm.
um, but
Well,
I'm
also like my other grandmother, my um, she would we would as a when I was a little boy, she would have me make bread pudding with her. So
ooh
I remember always like you know she had me breaking up the bread and then putting in the raisins and the you know the egg mixture and all that sort of stuff. So raisins can be in both sweet and savory dishes. There there's a wide use for them.
I love I like raisins a lot. Um, I had just under a cup of raisins, and instead of buying more for them to sit there, um, I just used what we had. Now, should I put the olives in now as well?
So actually, that's going to be at the end. If you're
Ah,
going to, so with the marinara sauce, per
yeah,
the recipe, I usually just get a 32-ounce jar of
right.
whichever brand you like, and I usually start by putting in half of that jar in there. Um, the important thing about picadillo is that it should be moist, but it should not be soupy. So we're going to start with half a jar. Um, and we're gonna all that liquid will eventually disappear as it cooks.
Okay. Now
So that's
I
good.
happen to have a half a jar of Trader Joe's organic tomato basil, um,
That works too. That's fine.
right, marinara thing. But the reason I've been buying the Trader Joe's is because it tastes good. If I had some wine, I would pour that in here. There.
Well, one thing too, sometimes just a different way of making it, one additional ingredient that you could do when cooking the veggies at the beginning, as it's sautéing, sometimes I put a little bit of sherry vinegar or champagne vinegar in there,
Ah,
and that also adds another level of flavor profile to it.
and I do have some. It's a little bit late to do that now, though, isn't it?
Yes, but that's not always what I do. So, but this is the starters version of picadillo. So this is
Yes,
good. What we're doing is great.
I'm going to become an honorary Cuban American.
You're a cubano.
Now, Cubano.
Yes.
By the way, that's one of my favorite sandwiches.
Oh,
A
you can never
Cubano.
go wrong with that sandwich. That is a
No,
classic. So
it
good.
is. It's
Um,
delicious. It has pickles and mustard and some kind of ham. It's
mhm.
delicious, right?
Never mayonnaise. Never mayonnaise.
No,
Should not.
mustard
Should
has
not.
to be mustard.
Mustard
Yes,
has to be mustard. Correct.
and
And then the equivalent, the sister sandwich to that, which is a sweet like so the if you order a medianoche, which is sort of like a midnight in translation, the
yes.
bread it's somewhat the same ingredients, but just the bread is sweeter. Think of it as a
Oh,
like a Hawaiian bread type of bread, but mixed in with the pork and the ham.
and again at Porticos, they
Portos.
serve
Yes,
Portos. What
yes.
there's what was the place I just went to in Buena Park, Carol? The Chicago hot dog stand, Portillo's. And it's huge, and they have they serve Italian beef and hot dogs, and it just
You know,
it
food is so important to people, and
yeah.
it just reveals so much about a person. And when I moved from Orange County, where I lived for many many years, I moved to Chicago after that, and I was desperately looking for a Cuban restaurant,
Ah,
and I finally found one in the city, and they specialized in making Cuban sandwiches. And let me tell you, I don't know if it's because it was the only place around or it had been so long since I had one, but just biting into that sandwich made me so happy.
oh yeah,
So, you know,
yeah.
food just takes you back. And I think that's what people want to ultimately reconnect with, those childhood memories or special foods that you eat at special moments of your life. And for me, that's what most of these Cuban dishes are. They're great memories.
Do you think we need to add more of the marinara
So
because it is?
I, I,
Oh
I think we're actually really good with the marinara.
yeah,
I
I
don't,
think so too.
yeah.
Mm.
So usually at this point, what I do is, so it seems like the meat is now fully cooked.
Yes.
Um, I take a little spoon and give a little taste test to see how we are with the spices. Um, and like I said, it's not going to be spicy, but it should be very flavorful. You should get a hint, like a big hint of the
Oh,
garlic and the cumin.
the cumin. Oh boy. Now I'm gonna blow on this a little bit
Yes, don't burn
because
yourself.
I don't want to burn myself. I use my mouth is part of how I make my living. and I hate doing the hot mouth dance, which I've done many times on the show. All right, here we go. Oh, that's really nice.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Glad you like it.
Mm. Oh, no, really nice. Oh,
So at
and
this point,
the
and
olives
the
will be a nice offset.
yes, so you can now put in the olives, and what I would do is I would lower the temperature to just sort of a low simmer, and you can um, cover the pan if you have a lid for it. If not, that's fine, and just let it cook a little further so that all the ingredients blend together and all the taste comes together.
What I'm going
And
to
then
do is I'm going to move this to here,
your dish is done.
and I'll turn it there, and we'll turn it low. And then over here, we'll put this pan back, a new pan, and I'm going to put some olive oil. Let me, what I'm going to do first, I think, is we'll peel the banana. Okay.
Yeah. Now it's really important that you found the right type of banana to do this. It's the plantains, and for this
Yes.
particular dish, which is called oftentimes called maduros, and the banana needs to be like that. It needs to be very ripe, because that way the sweetness will come through when you cook it.
What I'm, I've never peeled one of these before.
Well,
They're, they're,
when they're ripe, they're very easy to peel. There's another dish that I mentioned to you called tostones, which is it also uses the same type of plantain, but you need them. You need to find the plantains when they're very green, and it's a different type of preparation.
they had,
But
I went to a Mexican market, local Mexican market for these, and they had both green and well done. I call them well done.
I like that.
So,
Well done.
right. And we're going to cut them at an angle about an inch. How's that?
Yes, that's perfect.
Are these edible? I
No,
don't.
these are
They're
not
not.
edible. So
Ah,
no, they will not taste good if you just bite into them. They're not like a regular banana, um, so they need to be cooked. You can. There's a lot of different ways to prepare them. You can fry them, you can boil them, you can steam them. But today we're gonna lightly fry them in some olive oil.
okay.
Some people will also, in addition to the olive oil, put a little bit of butter in there. I don't. It's not necessary, but some people
Got it.
like to give it a little bit more flavor.
Okay,
And
we're
then
gonna let that heat
once
up.
you hear, yes, once it heats up and you hear it, then it's time to put some of those in there. And this is a really easy sort of side dish to make. Um,
Now, does
and
this go in the mixture, or you eat it on the side?
You eat it on the side. So when you
Ah,
plate the yes, when you plate the dish, and we were talking about this as well. The traditional way to serve picadillo is with some white rice, and you serve a little bit of white rice on the plate, some picadillo on the other part, and then the plantains, and then you just sort of eat as you go. A lot of people like to take a little bite of the rice, the picadillo, and put the plantain on the fork and just eat it all in
the
at once.
the let's see if I get this right. The pico. You put that. Oh, you put rice down, and then a layer of the pico. By
Basically,
the
you're gonna fry them until they turn a nice golden yellow, and you'll see that they'll start caramelizing. So you're gonna have to let it sit there for a few minutes on each
all
side.
right.
I recommend probably 3 to 4 minutes on each side. Correct.
So
You have to fully cook them. So
And
what you
these are
want is for them to get a nice dark golden color, like what you're doing. Um, you don't, they're very easily burned. So you want to be careful not to burn them. But the color that they're getting there looks quite perfect. And then you're going to
it's a
wait till
deep brown.
they're going to get the same color on the other side. And then it will be time to give them a taste.
Ooh, look at that. They have a little bit of a crust on them, and they're softened.
Yes, they're going to be. So yes, this particular dish, maduros, which in English translates to ripe, maduro. It's ready to eat, to be eaten. So the banana will definitely soften as it's cooking, and the whatever the chemical process is, that's beyond my pay grade, but it will become sweet. So it's a sweet side dish.
Okay, we're going to take a look at the other side, Javier, and I think yeah, they're done.
Those are looking, yes, those are
So I'm
done.
going to
You
turn
want to
it
make
off.
sure, yeah,
Or,
you want to make sure that they're nice and soft and a little bit squishy.
yeah,
Yeah, they look like they're done.
and we did this, by the way, in olive oil. Do you ever use anything other than that? You mentioned butter.
You
I
can,
could
so
see.
some people, so the butter would be, and it would just be like maybe a half a little tablespoon of butter, but that would be in addition to the oil. So you would just put it there in the middle
Got
as
it.
it's frying, and it just gives it an extra bit of taste. But if you want to be a little bit more heart healthy, I suggest sticking to the olive oil.
I made some white rice this morning, and I made one serving of rice, which was that was hard. I could make six easier than I could with one, but this was a non-GMO organic rice, and uh, and now I'm going to put this on top, and I'm going to put this down.
That looks great. Look at all those colors.
I know,
It's wonderful.
and you know where what I should have done? I should have used I should have used an orange or a yellow bell pepper would have been very nice here um, uh, for color. But oh
I
well.
think you've done a great job, Mark. I wish I
Well,
were there to taste it.
listen, there's plenty. Come on, get on a plane. We'll save it for you. Yeah.
Sounds good.
All right, here we go. I'm going to start with this. It is still hot. I really like this,
You like it?
and
Excellent.
yeah,
So
I
glad.
really do. I'm going to try it with a piece of olive. Ah, Javier, cookbook now, man. Mm,
Grandma taught me well.
she did. You.
Yeah.
Thanks, Grandma. Oh, I mean, this is really nice. I can't stop. Mm, all right. Now I'm going to cut a piece of the plantain. Tang.
Pain. Yeah. Make
Tang.
sure it's not too hot, Mark, because those things get very hot.
Yes. And I would cry if I burned myself. So, mm. Now I thought it would have a banana-y flavor. It doesn't. Just a sweet, fruity flavor. And
Hmm.
it's soft. It's really good. Mm, really good. I asked this to a lot of our guests, um, and thank you. Will you come back and maybe do another Cuban dish with us in a little bit?
Absolutely. Yes, this was fun.
Yeah,
I'd love to come.
this is this is great. This is so good. Thank you. I'm going to ask you to hold on, Javier. I'm going to talk about next week's show, and don't go away. Um, thank you for tuning in. We love your comments. We love everything, all your comments about this. This is great. We're going to have the recipe up. I'm going to make Javier expand the recipe that he sent me, if he doesn't mind. And uh, really, really quite good. Next week, we're going to really show you what it's like to cook when you're not a professional chef, but you're a surgeon of more than 30 years. And our surgeon actually has a sweet tooth. So we're going to be making a dessert with an author and a surgeon. She's retired as a surgeon, but she's going to revolutionize the healthcare system in the United States. I can't wait um, uh, for Dr. Blackstone to join us next week. All right, I'm Mark Alyn. Carol, as always, thank you very much. We'll see you next time. Thanks, everybody.